7 o'clock, so we can get started. So let me give the introduction. As a preliminary matter, this is Larry Murphy, Chair of the Newbury Planning Board. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Planning Board members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Peter Pecos,
Yes.
Woody Knight,
Yes.
Mary Stone,
Yes.
Scott Kinter,
Yes.
Steve Mangione.
Yes.
Town staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Martha Taylor, Planning Director,
Yes.
and Kristen Grubbs, Assistant Town Planner.
Yes.
And for anticipated speakers, we have Diane Graham regarding 53 Pearson Drive. Diane is here, I know.
Yep, she's muted.
And we're also expecting Ben Perez from Boston North Development regarding 105 High Road. I don't know
Yeah,
if that's just yet.
He's not here yet.
Okay. This June 5th, 2024 open meeting of the Newbury Planning Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, which extends the Governor's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20, until March 31, 2025. This order suspends the requirement of the Open Meeting Law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location and allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For this meeting, the Newbury Planning Board is convening by video conference via Zoom as posted on the Planning Board's agenda, which can be found on the town's website and which identifies how the public may join. You may join us by going to http://zoom.us and entering meeting ID number 832-7141-3056 and passcode 108790, or by calling 1-929-205-6099 and entering the meeting ID number and passcode when prompted. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that attendees are participating by video and/or telephone conference. The recording will be available on the Newbury Access YouTube channel, which can be accessed through the Planning Board's webpage on the town's website and at www.tnctv.org. Meeting materials were provided to the board members prior to the meeting for review. Applicants or their representatives may be called upon to speak and, if needed, share information to the screen. Please state your intention after you have been called. Before we turn to the first item on the agenda, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. As chair, I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After speakers conclude their remarks, I will go down the list of board members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, for all attendees except board members and staff, please remember to mute your computer using your mute button or on your phone to mute, hit *6 to toggle either mute or unmute when you're not speaking. Please use earbuds or earphones with tablets and cell phones. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. Please be aware that video participants can see you and that you should take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. For any response, please wait until I yield the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If board members wish to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through me, taking care to identify yourself when you wish to speak. There will be an opportunity for public comment and questions during public hearings. However, we do not have any public hearings scheduled for tonight's meeting. And finally, please note that each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. So turning to the agenda, the first item is the May 2024 financial report. The following payroll warrants for the planning director and assistant planner were processed. PR 24-23 for the pay period ending 5/4/24, and PR 24-24 for the pay period ending 5/18/24. And also the following planning board expense invoices for the wireless planning board iPad to wireless Verizon, and that was paid 5/30/24. So the next item on the agenda is new business, and the first item under new business is 53 Pearson Drive. You'll all recall, well, Martha, maybe you could summarize this better than I can.
I will do my best. And Diane, if I miss anything, please feel free to speak up. But back in 1979, Ron Pearson and Catherine Kriegel submitted a subdivision plan for what was known as the Highfield subdivision, which is now Pearson Drive. That was approved by the planning board on November 7th, 1978, and subsequently endorsed on February 22nd, 1979. Prior to endorsement, the board accepted a surety in the form of a covenant, which was also dated February 22nd, 1979, which was securing the performance of certain improvements, particularly the construction of the roadway and installation of services to the subdivision. Subsequent to that, on October 22nd, 1979, the planning board released the covenant except for lots 37 and 39. 39 is 53 Pearson Drive, so that's the lot that we're talking about, and also retained $50,000. The lot was recently, I think it was sold on May 24th. In the process of preparing for the closing, the lender's attorney's title examiner discovered that there was no recorded release for lot 39. So that's the subject of tonight's discussion. I looked through what files we had for Pearson Drive, found nothing in those files indicating release. There are minutes. Unfortunately, some of our files were lost due to storage conditions that they were in for a while. So the board has been requested to basically do an after the fact release of this lot. It has been found that lot 37 was released also in October of 1982. But still nothing found for lot 39. In 1981, Ron Pearson, as Ropco, conveyed lot 39 to the Grahams, and it has been owned by them, until May 24th, so a week ago, basically, at which time it was conveyed. So the board has been asked to do an after the fact release of this lot. Town council reviewed a draft release of the covenant and provided a revised version, which the board has, which basically states most of these facts. And so the matter before the board tonight would be to take a vote on this release.
So in a nutshell, it seems some 40 odd years ago, there was simply an oversight that made the release was not recorded for this lot.
Right, it may have been. And also one thing I forgot to mention, the town did vote to accept Pearson Drive as a townway at town meeting in 1983.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Martha. Do any of the board members have any questions? Comments? Well, it seems pretty straightforward to me.
Yeah.
We do have a suggested form of motion to release this lot. So would anyone care to move to certify that the requirements for work on the ground called for by the covenant dated February 22nd, 1979 have been completed to the satisfaction of the planning board as to lot 39, and lot 39 is hereby released from the restrictions in said covenant as to the conditions set forth therein? Would anyone care to make that motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mary. Is there a second?
Second.
I think that was Woody. Thank you,
Yes.
Woody. I'm sorry. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Pete, how do you vote on the motion?
Yes.
Woody, how do you vote on the motion?
Yes.
Mary, how do you vote on the motion?
Yes.
Scott, how do you vote on the motion?
Yes.
And I vote on the motion as well. So I think hopefully that will clear up things for the Grahams. And I believe there will be a form that we need to get down to town hall to sign, Martha. Is that correct?
That's correct. So I've got the form from town council and, I will put it in the box for everybody, but, Larry, your signature will need to be notarized.
Right, I can do that. Okay.
Okay.
Will that be ready tomorrow, do you think?
Yes, I've got it in my hands right here, so I can get that out there and you can stop by whenever.
Good. I'll stop by in the morning.
And then, I guess I will, contact, Attorney Russo. Is that the right person once it's been signed and he will take care of getting it recorded?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm glad we were able to clear this up for you. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, friendly.
Yes. Bye now.
Bye, bye.
Bye, thank you. To the game or the awards.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is 105 High Road, request for approval of revised grading at Unit 2. And I think we have Ben Perez here to speak to that.
Yes, he is.
Do we have something we can screen share, Martha?
I do. Ben, do you have anything or would you like me to screen share?
I don't have anything, Martha. Steve Sawyer, I believe, sent you some stuff earlier today.
He did, yes. We've had the plan and he also sent me a wall section today. So, just as a refresher, I will start with the existing approved grading plan. So this is, are you all able to see that?
Yes.
I can
All
see
right.
it.
Okay, so here where my arrow is, this is the existing, this is Unit 2. This is the area that's in question or under discussion here. And the grading was kind of a continuous contour line here with grades going down towards Unit 3. The proposal is to, I will take that down. The proposal is to basically create a more level backyard for Unit 2. So that would be the grading. I've lost my grading this out. Actually, the patio has been raised by a foot. It was 35.5, I think, on the other plan. So that's been raised to 36.5. 36 grade line comes through here. Previously, it was over here. So this area becomes level. 34 here, and that this section along here would be a 2-foot high retaining wall, a 30-inch wide planting strip here, and then the granite 6-inch high granite curbing. Joe reviewed this, had no issues with the grading. The biggest concern was whether it would impact the swale that runs along the northern edge of the property line and drains down towards the back of the property, towards the open space. His one comment was really regarding the construction of the wall itself. And Ben, this might be something you want to address. The proposal is to use basically the large shea concrete blocks there. And Joe felt that using smaller landscaping blocks might be easier to maintain long run. And I think the implication was that it might be a slightly more aesthetic appearance. I understand that there are going to be some plantings, bushes along here, which have not been called out.
Yeah. You want me to chime in now?
Sure.
So the shea blocks are, they're not too big in size. They're 16 inches tall and they're 30 inches wide. And we're doing 2 courses. Half of the first course will be buried in the ground to make sure it locks in and doesn't move. And the upper course is actually it's made to allow soil to come on top of it for planting, be able to plant grass right up to the edge of it. And the planting bed, we haven't decided what type of plants. We want something that's going to stay there year round and block the view of the wall, so the wall won't be visible behind the planting, is our intent. We can give you the planting list once we figure that out. We have not finalized that. We're working with the landscaper on what type of plant we use.
And this is the wall section.
Yep, that's correct. Yep. See that upper course of block has a recess in it to allow there to be topsoil planted pretty much right to the edge of it, so that you don't have a big flat cap on the top of the wall. There'll be grass that'll come right to the back of it.
And the face appearance is basically like a split face block.
Yeah, it's meant to look like kind of like a split granite block, the texture of it.
Mhm.
And they're very durable. They can handle a lot of freezing, thawing cycles. Because they're larger in size, so they're not going to move around, which is what we'd want there.
So Martha, Joe Sawecka had no concerns about impact on the drainage?
No, he didn't. Again, I think the biggest concern was whether there was any impact on the swale, and that is not impacted.
I guess the first thing we should determine is whether or not this would be considered a minor or a major modification. As you know, a major modification would require reopening the public hearing. To me, it appears to be a minor modification, but let me turn to the board members. Pete, your thoughts on it?
I would agree. It's also a minor modification.
Yeah, Woody?
Yeah.
Same minor modification.
Yeah, Mary?
Minor.
Scott?
I would agree, minor.
And Steve?
Also agree, minor.
Okay. Very well. As to what's being proposed, do we have any comments or questions, Peter?
I don't have any comments or questions. I think the site walk was helpful to help us digest this, so I think we should probably proceed with a minor modification.
Woody?
I agree.
Yeah, Mary?
Agreed as well.
Scott?
I'm in agreement.
Steve?
Ditto.
Yeah, I agree as well. That being said, I'd entertain a motion to approve the proposed grading change at Unit 2.
So moved.
Thank you, Peter. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Second. Not sure who spoke first, Mary or Woody, but we do have a second. Any further discussion? Then on the motion, Peter, how do you vote?
Yes.
Woody, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mary, how do you vote?
Yes.
Scott, how do you vote?
Yes.
Steve, you're in agreement?
Yes.
Thank you. And I vote yes as well. Okay, Ben, thank you. And
Thank you very much, everybody.
guess you're good to go.
Thanks, Ben.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
And-
Bye.
Next item on the agenda is the FY 2025 appointments to recommend to the select board. For associate member, associate planning board member for 1 year is the first item. Let's take that up. Steve, I understand you've expressed an interest in continuing on for another year.
Yes, I have. I find the whole process of these meetings and decisions to be made to be interesting. And I think I've got more to learn for sure, but I'm interested in continuing.
Good, great. Does anyone have any comments, questions for Steve, or not hearing any? Would anyone care to move that we recommend to the select board that Steve Mangione be appointed to another year as associate member of the planning board?
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you, Mary. And do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Woody. Any discussion? Then Pete, how do you vote on the motion?
Absolutely.
Okay, Woody, how do you vote on the motion?
Yes.
Mary, how do you vote on the motion?
Yes, indeedy.
Scott, how do you vote on the motion?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So Steve, congratulations, I guess.
Thank you all.
Welcome, Steve.
Yeah. The next item is MVPC Commissioner for 1 year. Martha is the current MVPC, Merrimack Valley Planning Commission Commissioner, but will no longer be eligible come the first of the fiscal year, July 1. So does anyone have an interest in filling that position? Not everyone at once, please.
I could throw my hat in if necessary, Larry.
Okay, all right. Anyone else have an interest in it?
Gerard Whitten has been a friend for 23 years. And in that sense, I definitely want to step back and not offer my name up.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Anyone else have an interest? All right, then, that being the case, would anyone care to nominate Pete to serve as the MVPC Commissioner for the fiscal year beginning July 1st?
I nominate Pete.
Is there a second? Thanks, Mary. There's
Second.
So that's Scott. Thank you. Any discussion? Then Peter, how do you vote on the motion?
I'm not gonna vote.
You're going to abstain? Okay. Very difficult. Woody, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mary, how do you vote?
Yes.
Scott, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, I vote yes as well. So it's 4 in favor with 1 abstention. And lastly is the MVPC alternate commissioner for 1 year. I hold that position right now. And if anyone has an interest in being the alternate commissioner, I'm more than happy to step aside. If not, then I will remain the alternate. Anyone have any thoughts?
I would
guess-
say, Larry, when you get tired of it, I'd be happy to, step in as the alternate. But, for another year, it'd be great as I'm still getting my feet wet, with the board here.
All right, well, I'm certainly willing to stay on for another year. So, but thanks, Scott, I appreciate that. Well, would anyone care to nominate me as alternate commissioner?
I'll nominate Larry.
Thank you, Scott.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Peter. Any further discussion? All right, then Pete, how do you vote?
Yes.
Woody, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mary, how do you vote?
Yes, and thank you, Larry.
Scott, you're welcome. Scott, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I'm going to vote yes as well, so we'll make it unanimous.
Bias.
Steve, I
Bias.
hope you're in accord too.
Yes, I
Okay.
am.
Conflict of interest.
So we can make those recommendations to the select board, Martha.
Yes, I'll get those upstairs tomorrow.
Great, thank you. Under old business, we have done, the next item is liaison reports. Martha, anything from the select board?
Yeah, the select board met on the 28th. And a few things. One, they did announce my retirement. But in addition to that, they also announced our Green Communities designation grant and voted to accept that. So that was very exciting. We're working now with CC. Kristen in particular is working with CC and James to put together our project proposal for our designation grant. They reorganized the board, which basically ended up as no reorganization. So Alicia is still chair, and Bill is the vice chair, and Leslie's the clerk. They voted to move forward with the 2 home rule petitions that were voted on at town meeting, one regarding the SGARs and the other the Town Administrator Act change. And other than that, there were some appointments, a couple of right to farm disclosures for sales of property. And that was pretty much it.
Thanks, Martha. Next is ZBA. That's me. I really don't have anything to report tonight. Their regular monthly meeting is in a couple of weeks, and I don't know at this point what's going to be on the agenda. So that's really all I have. Woody, anything from conservation?
Conservation met last night, and unfortunately, I was unable to attend. So I can't give you an update as to what happened. And I plan on watching the meeting tomorrow.
Thanks, Woody. And
Sorry.
back to MVPC again. Martha, anything?
Let's see. The commissioners' meeting was pretty much regular business, and the planners' meeting will be later in this month. Actually, the commissioners' meeting, the last one for this fiscal year, will be next week, and then the planners' meeting will be after that.
Okay, thanks, Martha. So that brings us to the planning director's report.
So a few things here. First, Kristen and I attended a site walk that the Conservation Commission held at the Sunset Club last Wednesday on the 29th. This is Sunset Club is before the commission right now, trying to close out their order of conditions, which is expired, and then getting ready to move forward with the proposal for the pavilion, and also to get permitted some of the things that were put in place without permitting, in particular the merchandise shed. So we walked around, looked at the site in comparison with the approved plan. The commission noted a number of things that actually had not been done, like the dune along the Old Point Road edge, and in the corner, there were some changes made to the rain garden to put in basically a sewer box and some other things. So they're going to be working with them to get that all sorted out. And, I would expect that really needs to be dealt with before anything comes to either the commission or the planning board in terms of the new work that they want to do. My understanding is that the commission has pretty much closed out their enforcement order and other open things with the golf center. So I'm going to be contacting Eric Sorensen and his engineer to get the site plan formally submitted to the board, so that the board can also go through the process of closing out the site plan review. I know that Eric has been would like to get his bond released, and that can't be done until the House bill has been approved. And so I'll be getting in touch with him tomorrow, and potentially this could be on the agenda for at least initial discussion at the June 26th meeting. Also as a sort of something that's coming up, Kristen and I and Sean, our conservation agent, met with John Colantoni yesterday. He is trying to get in a position to move things forward with his project. Also, his order of conditions has expired, so he's going to be working with the Conservation Commission to deal with that. And there'll also be conversations with the planning board, so he has requested to be on the agenda for the 26th meeting as well.
That's on the Main Street property, right, Martha?
Yes, 108 Main Street. Going back to Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, the hazard mitigation plan draft is now available for public comment. And public comment period is May 28th through June 28th. And there's information up on the homepage of the town's website with a link to the draft, which is on MVPC's website. There's going to be a public information presentation at the select board meeting next Tuesday on the 11th regarding that. And Kristen has been reaching out to the various stakeholders also to alert them to the fact that this is available for review. So they're hoping for, a robust round of public comment. And this is an important component of the process that they need to go through for FEMA and MEMA approval. And once the public comment period is over, then comments will be incorporated into the draft to go to FEMA and MEMA for review, and ultimately back to the select board for approval. And that's one reason why we decided that it would be appropriate to hold this at the select board meeting, so that they can get, an initial overview of the project and what the issues and actions are. So again, that will be next Tuesday at the select board meeting. So I encourage all of you to take a look at the plan, which is on the website. And I'll send the link to you tomorrow so that you can access it easily. Another thing that we're working on also on June 11th is a walk audit of the intersection of Boston Road and Route 1. It's being billed as a walk and roll. And Kristen, do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So this is part of Merrimack Valley Planning Commission's Vision Zero project, which we've talked about a little bit, but they're looking at crash data for the most dangerous roadways and intersections across the region. So in looking at Newbury's data, we identified one of the top areas of concern being where Boston Road crosses Route 1 at the flashing light. So this is one of the series of walk audits they're doing across the region. We also looked with them a week and a half or so ago, or maybe it was just last Wednesday, I think, on Plum Island at the intersection near the new bathrooms and the town parking lot. Just sort of everyone getting out there, looking at what the concerns are, talking about possible next steps in terms of assessing improvements. So this is open to public attendance if any of you are interested. And I think we will be able to post a news flash on the planning board webpage as well. But if people are interested in particular biking, you know, cyclist safety, also pedestrian safety on Route 1, this will be a meeting on Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock. So I'm happy to share more information, and people who are interested in bike ped safety are welcome to join as well. And Mass DOT is also joining that. So it's kind of exciting to get a little attention from the state on our local concern.
Thanks. Kristen, I don't know that I'm familiar with the term walk audit. Is it is it self-explanatory? People just going to show up and take a look?
Yeah, we're gonna meet at the police station actually and look, meet inside and look at what the data shows. The planner, Elizabeth Maldari from Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, will have a few slides and a presentation. So that's where we'll meet at 2 o'clock. And then the sort of walk audit is, traveling safely together to the site. And there's sort of a protocol or best practices in terms of assessing, just looking carefully at what's on the ground and what the issues are in terms of sight lines and safety concerns that people have, and just kind of collectively putting everyone's eyes very closely at that place and thinking about what the issues are. And then sort of going back with the data that's collected, and the planners at Merrimack Valley Planning Commission will put together some recommendations on, what next steps the town can look at. So DPW will be in attendance, the police, and planning.
See, good, very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Larry, if I could, Kristen, does Elm Street pop into this conversation at all, or has it?
Yeah. Good point.
It does. And yeah, my neighbors were actually in a pretty serious crash there over the weekend. So it's definitely another site that shows up in terms of crash data. I don't know what the fatality data is, but that's another priority location for
Are
sure.
you talking about the Elm Street Route 1 intersection?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Because we had a fatality there, 4 years ago? It's a heavily used intersection. I mean, the turn lane is helpful, of course, but
Yeah, the cars really get moving on Route 1 in that area.
Yeah, they do. I mean, this is one that's been on the radar, so to speak, for quite some time as well. I think in terms of the crash data, that it's what they call the high injury network. The Boston Road Route 1 intersection is actually rated very high in terms of injuries and that kind of stuff, higher than the Elm Street is, but it's certainly, both of them have been under discussion for some time, as well as other traffic considerations along Elm Street, the lack of sidewalks around the, the high school, middle school. And a resident there has recently brought to our attention the fact that there are many different speed limits along there. Concerns there as well as elsewhere in town about, cars going around bicyclists and pedestrians without slowing down, all of that kind of stuff. And the intersection of School Street and Elm Street has also been, a subject of a fair amount of discussion as well.
I think it's exciting to me, and I think was to the planners at Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, that Mass DOT is going to join the sidewalk on Tuesday, and certainly with improvements nearby on Route 1, both at the Raleigh Central Street intersection right over the town border, and then also pedestrian safety improvements around the Rotary at the Newburyport end. I think, Mass DOT is certainly, laying some eyes on these areas. And I think, local knowledge is really important in terms of advocating for improvements. So should be good.
Yeah, and this intersection, the Boston Road intersection, is one we've been talking about for years. So the fact that it now has risen to the level of qualifying for a walk audit and having the Mass DOT people there is very significant. That said, Bob Snow who's one of the select board members in Raleigh and is the chair of the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, noted that it took them 13 years to get those improvements done at the Central Street Route 1 intersection. So can be a long process, and we're just starting.
Wow.
Larry, if I may,
Sure, go ahead.
raise my somewhat broken record comment about how we need to consider how to monitor and regulate the bicyclist as well. I certainly have seen at the intersection of Sunset and the Plum Island Turnpike, one time Fish and Wildlife was doing a tour using their minibus, and shall we say they were ahead of a bicyclist. So the bus made its turn, and the bicyclist, who was behind, shall we say, was quite angry about him thinking that the bus had cut him off, when in fact I think the bus had the right of way. And certainly, Kristen, when you're doing the walkabout on Plum Island at the center, I actually hope that there's a lot of bicycle usage at the time, and you can judge how the bicyclists are behaving regarding the pedestrians that may be going across the street to the restroom. From what I have seen informally, and maybe I'll take a look this weekend and send you a message, the bicyclists had to plow right on through when pedestrians are trying to make that crossing. So there's some yin and yang in the discussion, I think. It isn't just cars.
That's really, I do think local knowledge and, observations over time are very helpful. Obviously, the walk audit is a point in time, but gathering that kind of ongoing observation is really important. And one of the things we talked about when we were on Plum Island was there's a grant cycle that's coming up in August that is sort of for aimed at demonstration improvements. So if a area of concern has been identified and has issues related to safety, pedestrian and bicyclists and vehicles safety, is there an improvement that can be kind of set up as a demonstration site for a period of time in order to assess how it works? And that certainly for the new bathrooms and the parking area and the sort of whatever, all the issues at that particular location that we know that exist, particularly in the summer. I think we're going to be sort of keeping an eye on that and thinking about if if we can come up with a proposal as a demonstration improvement, then maybe we have a good chance, because it does rank, regionally when they're looking across the Merrimack Valley region, it also ranks pretty significantly as an area of concern. So.
Right. If I may also add, since I commonly drive off the island in the morning and the like, but throughout the week and not just weekends, you'll see groups of bicyclists that may be in a bicycle club or whatever, but you'll see significant numbers. I hesitate to use the word large because that sounds too judgmental. But if you've got 10 bicyclists streaming on down the Plum Island Turnpike, let me assure you, they're not all riding single file. And that creates a lot of disruption for cars going to and from the island. And in some ways, it'd be nice to have a traffic counter for bicycles, just like you can put them across the road for cars, but to get an idea of just what the actual numbers are for bicyclists. And maybe DOT can explore that and you can bring it to their attention. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Steve.
that's a great suggestion, Steve. And I've been attending some of the Newburyport Livable Streets meetings, which is, a local nonprofit in Newburyport working on these issues. And I think they'd be they really have a good network of volunteers who are, willing to go out and do counts and stuff. So that's actually, I'll make a note of that because I don't know if they've ever done that on the Turnpike, but it would be pretty interesting just to gather the data over time and see, when are the high traffic areas, when, all of that would be good data to collect. It's a great idea. Can I add one more thing related to this topic, which is 2 weeks ago, Martha and I joined a walk audit of Parker Street. So looking at where the Clipper City Rail Trail hits Parker Street and walking from Parker Street the opposite direction of the train station towards Newbury Upper Green towards Rolfs Lane, because that corridor has also been identified regionally as an area that is of interest in terms of improving multimodal transportation access, so bikes and pedestrians. And I know from Martha, Parker Street sidewalk has been, brought up as a concern, but this is looking at if, what the opportunities and potential challenges and, all the considerations are if we were to consider a wide 8 to 10 foot path similar to Clipper City Rail Trail connecting from the end of Parker Street all the way towards the green, the old town hall, with the idea of connecting that multimodal transportation access from the train station eventually to Plum Island, enhancing the safety of people on bikes and pedestrians along that corridor. So that's another one that's just sort of was interesting that for Newbury, it ranked high regionally, and there's sort of a broader subcommittee looking at that. So I'll certainly report back to you all on that.
And again, Mr. Chair, if I may, I'm also familiar with the intersection of State Street and the way it's been reconfigured as part of the work on the Rotary. And I use that intersection quite often. And I must say, if you're coming down over the railroad bridge, heading towards the Rotary, trying to shuck and jive, particularly whether you're going to go left onto Route 1 or head up onto State Street, the constriction gets to be an interesting problem. And when the train comes in, there's a lot of traffic at that intersection. And yes, you have the flashing lights, which alerts people to pedestrians crossing, but it certainly is a bottleneck, which may be a fait accompli and will not be changed. But I would urge you to consider just being at that intersection and watching what happens and what the sight lines are. I know that personally, maybe it's my eyesight, that the sight lines aren't great coming down Parker and then either trying to cross State Street to get into the Rotary or to take a right. dealing with the other traffic and pedestrians and bicyclists. Maybe I'm resisting the new because I was used to the old. But I think it'd be an interesting place just to sit and set and watch. Thanks again.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you. Martha, anything further?
The only thing I thought I might bring up the July schedule. If the board remembers, at the last meeting, I think everybody was in agreement that the July 3rd meeting would be canceled. The next meeting after that on the calendar right now would be the July 17th meeting. But wanted to get a sense of the board whether holding one meeting in July on the 24th is something that everybody might be able to do instead of the 17th.
Yeah, actually, I have a problem on the 17th myself, so. I believe, just if my memory serves, our next meeting normally would be on the 18th, which is the Juneteenth holiday. So we're going to meet this month once more on the 26th, is it?
Yeah, the 19th is Juneteenth, so I'm meeting on the 26th
19th.
Instead.
Yeah. And then, we had talked about one meeting in July. I think we had talked about the 17th, but I've developed a conflict that night. So just, would the 24th work for everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll plan on that then. Subject, obviously, if anything comes up, anything urgent comes up, we could consider something else, but I think that would work, given, the summer schedule. So we'll meet on the 26th and then plan on our July meeting for the 24th, unless something changes. But we can, if anything comes up, we can further discuss that at our next meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay. Anything else, Martha?
No, that's all I had. Thanks.
Thanks. So the next and last item on the agenda are the meeting minutes from May 15th. Have those been distributed?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually didn't.
I haven't seen them.
No, I think they weren't. Sorry, I didn't get.
Okay, so we'll hold those till the next meeting.
I think I forgot to do that. My apologies.
Okay.
Maybe. I think we both forgot.
All right. Well, that's it for this evening. Anyone care to move to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Mary. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Woody. Any discussion? And hearing none, Pete, how do you vote?
Yes.
Woody, how do you vote?
Yes, and good night, everyone.
Mary, how do you vote?
Yes, but I think we should spend an hour discussing how short this meeting was.
Well, it's not a record. We didn't break any
No,
record.
I know. It's not that bad. I just thought I'd teach you all.
Okay. I'm gonna take that as a yes, Mary.
Yes.
Scott, how do you vote?
Scott, you're muted.
You're muted, Scott. I'm guessing
Yes.
I'd say.
yes. All right. Steve, you're in agreement?
Yes, and Channel 9 was on for the entire meeting.
Wonderful. Good news. I vote yes as well in the motion to adjourn. So we're adjourned at 7:48 p.m. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Night.
Good night.